Thank you, Azaz Saab. When I came this morning and met Azaz Saab, I said a spontaneous sentence I want to share with you. And I said, Azaz Saab, aapne to waqai achhi kitab likh di hai. Because the truth is that the number of books written by Pakistani former diplomats which are worthy of rereading is pretty thin. So, Azaz Saab, you are to be congratulated. I would have come anyway if your invitation had come to me out of friendship. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be here out of admiration. Because Azaz Saab is probably, and I'll name names, the second book I will, after Riaz Muhammad Khan's book on Pakistan and Afghanistan, I think this book is worthy of going into the same shelf in which what I'm grateful for, that he resisted the easy lure of chronology and went into the tough job of analysis. And actually, I can commend it to you. The book actually gets better as it goes on. And I think the chapters 7 and 8, the final two chapters, are the highlights of the book and worthy of rereading. Also, practically Azaz Saab has exhausted the ideas, the prescriptions, the lot of proposals for peace, and one would be hard-pressed to find or think of a fresh idea because he has documented it thoroughly. I read it as sort of wearing multiple hats. I read it as I can only say, a former peacenik. That's how I was when I first came into Parliament back in 2008. I thought, in my naivete, that we were the first generation to discover peace and hope for peace, of which I was very speedily disillusioned. But that's that's the sort of the arc of one's thinking. And then, of course, I saw these Pakistan-India relations as a practitioner in government. And two or three conclusions, even especially after Banial al-Marsoos, but essentially beginning with 2016, when India went on its current phase of what someone has written of not war, not peace, of trying to punish Pakistan under the nuclear umbrella. They tried in 2016, then in again 2019, and now 2025. But we are now perilously close to shredding that umbrella. And I think it is something that we should all be alarmed about. It's something that is an indication for future researchers and writers in Azaz Saab's book, because I am personally very alarmed. The logic of conflict is very near hazard level. And as has been commented, and I will repeat the comment, that the peace between two nuclear neighbors, Pakistan and Afghanistan, is dependent upon some misguided or violent individuals who can decide to act in India, and suddenly, at least the larger power India is lobbing nuclear missiles at Pakistan. That's how the logic currently stands. It seems to have receded or faded after Banial al-Marsoos, but that's where things were left off. Particularly because this sense, and I think now the conclusion is very clear, as Asab writes it clearly in the book, is that conventional military conflict will not solve anything in South Asia. It's very clear, Pakistan and India in different times have fallen under this illusion. And now it's very clear. So what we are left with, ladies and gentlemen, is what India feels the last thing that succeeded were its missiles that penetrated Pakistan on May the 10th. And God forbid, if ever there is a conflict, that's where it will begin. It will not begin at a lower level. So we should be very alarmed, and as Asab speculates repeatedly about the Indian mindset, and very eloquently writes about it, and he said so in his remarks also. But the root of India's animosity, I think, has been written about at length. But as we stand in 2025 of India's gambit of what they called Operation Sindoor having failed, is, ladies and gentlemen, that India is a very large country, but it is yet to become a great country. Greatness requires an expansiveness of spirit and generosity that the state of India currently lacks. So what has happened, building upon what Solanki Saab said, India has developed hubris before it could develop the real strength of spirit. And that's what makes it stumble again and again. Like in 2019, in 2025, they were very confident that they could resolve this and put Pakistan in its place. Whatever deficiencies had been there in 2019, they thought they had fixed them with their Rafales and S-400s and Israeli drones. And they thought, yes, now we could deliver a blow which will finally make Pakistan go down on its knees. But that didn't happen. But in its, there's a mythological beast called one-eyed Cyclops, which lashes out in anger. In its lashing out of anger, this time, the Indus Waters Treaty has been now put in abeyance, which is another trigger for war. We are actually still in the last few weeks of the monsoon season, which has, I hope, taught lessons to all of us, but also to India, that occasionally they will have to release water even in rivers that they thought they own. But once they have put the treaty in abeyance, there is another additional trigger point, which is that the division of the 6 rivers is now in question. And it will be for future policymakers in Pakistan and India to deal with this very thorny issue. But as we stand today, Pakistan, alhamdulillah, through the strength of the nation and its armed forces, has not been vanquished. That dream of vanquishing Pakistan lies in tatters. So, challenge before us, as I read the book and read the final concluding thoughts, is of course now a cliche, but a very difficult cliche to implement, which is how to strengthen our own country, our own economy, how we conduct our foreign affairs and domestic political affairs, and how we are able to marshal and use the elements of our national power into strengthening Pakistan. I have not mentioned Kashmir. I think people more qualified than I can speak more deeply on that subject. But the issue is that as we stand today, another conflict is on the cards. This is a difficult thing for me to say, but the logic of conflict says that there is going to be another conflict in a not too distant future. And how to avoid that conflict is our challenge. How to manage and use the changing global geopolitics to our advantage is our challenge. And the challenge is to what Pakistan has claimed and continues to claim, and inshallah will continue to claim, that we seek peace. And how to maintain that peace is going to be difficult. It has been said in a different manner, but I'll say it out openly as I see it. Peace requires more courage than war. And we have had moments when leaders had the courage, but then that courage foundered on the shoals of mistrust and hostility. But still, the requirement of courage from the leaders of Pakistan and India, more from India than Pakistan, is there. And only then, once, this is my formula, as I said, as a practitioner, that courage will be needed before we can even begin. Whatever prescriptions or thoughts or formulas, I think Izaz Saab has written them very well in the book, and that's why the book is even more valuable than it initially seems to be, is that all the ideas have been discussed at length. So the only thing that remains, if we are to make progress, is courage by the leadership. Ambassador George Salim struck a poetic note when he quoted the poet Seamus Heaney from his poem The Cure at Troy. But the last two lines of this couplet or verse, I will end there. Heaney says, "So hope for a great sea change. So hope for a great sea change on the far side of revenge." Ladies and gentlemen, this is our challenge for Pakistan and India, to finally, if we have the courage and our leaders have the courage, to walk to the far side of revenge and to give the hundreds and millions of poor on both sides of the border hope for a better life and peaceful coexistence. Thank you very much, Pakistan.